The Anatomy of an Extremist. This is by the Teacher of the Flame. This is this session's just a separate session that stands on its own, and we're going to discuss it in great detail just before uh, the elections. Now, just so that everyone knows, I will be going live. I will be having a live, according to my producer, something that I should do. So I decided I will go live on the evening for an hour. After the polls are closed, I'll go live for an hour. Uh, After the polls have closed and possibly some of the results are in. So please watch me then. It'll be November 3rd. I guess the polls will be closed around 7 or 8. So I'll be live. I'll be doing a live stream at between 8 and 9 on election night, November 3rd. Okay, so let's get to the session. Just so everyone knows, this you can add anything or add a comment or add anything to this that you might feel is pertinent that will help people understand the mindset of an extremist. This goes across racial, ethnic, and religious affiliates. Okay, so that's I'm not pointing out just one. Whether you think somebody's a nigger, or you think somebody's a cracker, or a honky, or whatever words you want to use, for the most part, you'll probably fall under this category. Okay. The words that I use is basically for effect. It is not. It does not have anything to do with how I believe the opposition is. So now, having said that, the Anatomy of an Extremist, and this is a special report, so I'll be putting that in the title. The Anatomy of an Extremist starts. Let's start at the top with the leader. Now, most leaders that have followers, and of course, and just so you know, extremists are mostly followers. You know what I mean? They're following something. They very rarely, if at all, have any of their own, can carry their own thoughts. That they don't own discerning thoughts. They're not critical thinkers. They definitely don't use the 3 pillars of skepticism. So, just so you know that, but the leaders are always parasitic. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times the leaders of extremists, because they're the most important part of extremist behavior, they don't believe, they're parasitic. So they don't believe in any. How does that translate into what we understand as extremists? They don't believe in any of the extremes ideologies that the extremist followers want to follow or wanting to follow. They fill voids that are that gaping holes. They come in. That's how how a parasite lands on you, a tick or something like that, and it takes whatever it can get. And if it, if it can't get inside, it bloats itself and then it goes off or whatever. Of course, this is just a general idea. It's not a scientific idea of a parasite. But to suffice it to say, a human parasite in the extremist model that I have here they don't really care about the ideology of the extremist. But they know and they learn the ideology of those extremists so that they can pick at, so that they can become a part of the extremist ideology, so that they can siphon whatever they can get from it, whether it's attention, whether it's money, whether it's power, control. These leaders, they'll do whatever it takes to become a part of the extremist ideology and take advantage of those people's extremist thoughts, extremist beliefs. They'll go to the Bible, you know what I mean? They'll say, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're doing this, and they'll tap into that fear, and they'll tap in, and these extremists follow that because the leader is a representative of something that's inside their heart and in their mind, and something that they can't express themselves, or they can't justify themselves. So they use somebody like that. Do you know anybody like that? Oh, yeah, the president. Okay, now, and this is the next part. Actually, this one should probably be first, but I put the leader because he gives boost to their extremist ideology. Ignorance of the followers. The ignorance of the followers is so important, because now as a follower, I don't have to have my own thoughts. I don't have to think critically. I don't have to pick apart any ideas, because my leader does that for me. My leader makes up all the, there's good and bad people on both sides. Oh, it's a hoax. Don't worry about it. Oh, now since something happened to me, you know what I mean? Oh, okay. Well, it's just a common cold. Oh, those 200,000 people, they were going to die anyway. They old or whatever. Okay? So the extremists, you know what I mean? And normally the racism and all those isms aren't really important unless they give credence to that ideology, to that extreme behavior. Okay? If I have a conspiracy that the government is, for all intents and purposes, trying to, control me, take my guns and all these kind of things, that extreme behavior, that extreme ideology is good enough. That's enough for me, for my ignorance to follow that. Okay? And lastly, absence of level or critical thought. Well, if you're a critical thinker, okay, you don't follow Jones into, some sub-Saharan landscape and allow yourself to drink a poison and have mass suicide. You don't follow a Manson. You don't follow a Trump, because you have critical thought. You say, well, wait a minute, why am I doing this? And a lot of the times, and I'm glad I remember this because, I'm the absent-minded professor, but a lot of times, these extremists, these followers, they find out the truth too late. You see? The Manson followers find out too late, and I've seen a woman on there trying to get out of jail. She wants to, tell them that, that was me at another time or whatever. But see, yes, I can understand you saying that, but see, you found out too late that you weren't thinking critically. Now, we as when we're younger people, we tend not to think critically. We try to follow our parents' edicts, or we try to follow our parents, as far as their teachings. As a young person, very few have the power or the strength to see a mistake in their parents' thinking. Or the parent says, you know what, I want you to think critically and correct me if I'm wrong, swallowing their own pride. There used to be a saying, uh, be seen and not heard when it comes to children. I've never believed that. I want to see you and hear your thoughts. Okay, um, extremist extremist followers are like children that follow their mother blindly. There were zealots in the Christ. When Christ was alive, according to the Bible, and he had to put them straight. And when Peter cut off the one guy's ear in the garden there, just before Christ was crucified, he healed the guy and told him, Peter, what you doing? That's not what we are. Because people, when they get into these religions or when they get into to following something, they take on an extreme behavior. And so they don't allow themselves to think critically anymore. And when Christ reprimanded Peter, you know, uh, it was a reprimand of all his followers at that point and years after. Okay? Same with the Buddha. Same with Muhammad. They all chastised. Muhammad said in the Quran, he was quite specific that it wasn't just the Christians or this sect or the Judaist sect that had the knowledge of God. God could speak in a different way to someone as long as they are thinking critically. They'll all still follow the same process of loving, caring, and understanding one another. And extremists normally don't. They don't want to understand the other's point of view. They're not level-headed. So that's the end of this. If you have any questions or comments, please comment on these and enjoy the videos. And I'll make another one maybe Monday, but for sure I will be streaming live on Tuesday. Thank you and have a good Sunday.